So let's do a few of these together. Notice the directions. Find the x-intercepts by solving. So this is what we did last night. Step A, find the x-intercepts by solving. Step B, and then of course with your answers on this one, this is where you write them in the braces. Make sure you write your 2 answers or your 1 answer in the braces. For B, find the axis of symmetry, okay? That was that formula. X equals negative B over 2A. And we call it X sub B. You know, that's the x-coordinate of the vertex as opposed to over here, the x-intercept. So when we have this x equals, that should be the x-intercept. X sub B is the vertex. That way you don't get confused on the paper. And then you have to plug it back in. So that's when you have to plug it back into the function. So whatever answer you get for this, plug it back into the original function. Okay. So those, and you write it as a coordinate. So this just means plug in A, plug in B, plug in A, you'll get a number, like 2. And then over here, you find f of 2. So you plug 2 back into the original function, and that'll give you your y coordinate, or your y sub b, and we'll know where the vertex is exactly. C, find the y-intercept. So we were very deliberate here. We said letter C is find the y-intercept. How do you know what the y-intercept is? It's C. C equals. Whatever C equals, that's your y-intercept. Like on number 1, the y-intercept is -3. That number on the end. Letter D. So you can use all the information and actually graph it. E. State whether the vertex is a min or a max. All right. How do you know the min? We can do this actually before we graph it. If A is greater than 0, it's a minimum. If A is less than 0, it's a max. So remember the A value, that's this number in front, back to here. If the A value is positive, you notice that the vertex, which is this point at the bottom, is always the lowest point of the graph. Anytime this is positive, that vertex is at the very bottom. However, when we become negative, the vertex is down at the top, the maximum. All the negative A's, you have a maximum, and all the positive A's, you have a minimum. State the domain and range. All right. So the domain for all of these is going to be unrestricted. You can plug in any numbers you want. You're just squaring, multiplying, and subtracting. So there's not going to be any restrictions. So your domain is always going to be, the quadratics is going to be all reals. The range we're going to get from the graph. Okay, we're going to look at the graph and see, well, where does the graph start? Where does it end? So like here, I can say the range, this is, you barely see it right here, but that's number 2. So the answer, the graph starts at 2, and it goes down. So the range is going to be y is less than or equal to 2. If, like right here, the y it starts at is -1, and then the graph goes up. So the range is going to be y is greater than or equal to -1. That's the range. We'll just go through, let's go through number 1 together, and if there's time, we'll do it up. So let's go through, we're going to label these and be very neat about it. If your writing's too big and you can't fit here, you might want to use another piece of paper, just so you don't make mistakes, just because you are cramming things in. You can't. So, letter A, let's solve it. Label these A, B, C, D, and so on, so when you're checking your work tomorrow, you can easily check, well, somebody else's A with your A, or somebody else's F, domain range with yours. It would be easy to see. All right, let's go ahead and factor this. There's no GCF. We can't do square roots or anything. So A times C equals -1 times -3 is 3. And then B equals 4. What are the two numbers that multiply to 3 add to 4?
3 and 1.
1 and 3, or 3 and 1, doesn't matter. Above each of these, we'll have negative x. We have negative x plus 1 equals 0. Negative x equals -1 by subtracting 1 on both sides, and then divide or multiply both sides by negative x. First, x-intercept. Second, we'll have, -3, no, sorry, negative x plus 3 is 0. And then negative x equals -3. So x equals 3. And there's the second. Now, we made this kind of easy for you because we provided you with graphs that are already set up for you to do the function, which means, like you can see here, that we kind of scaled it to 1.5, and we made it so 1 and 3 are already on here. The vertex will definitely be on here as well. You don't have to worry about making your graph a certain size. Later on, you're going to have to do this from scratch, kind of, and on graph paper. But on these, you can tell that the roots are going to be between -7 and 3. So if you get something not on the x-axis as provided, you made a mistake. Don't go off and say, oh, I got an answer of +6. So here's 6, and that means you made a mistake. So we're trying to keep you, for now, keep you in mind, and later on we'll just expect you to do on regular paper. Okay, part B. Find the axis of symmetry. All right. So again, label B. It's B, so we know what's going on. Start off with x sub b is -b over 2a. Remember, this is the middle of the graph. That's what we're finding. X sub b is the middle of our graph. So just by looking here, you can kind of tell that, well, there's a root at 1 and a root at 3. The middle of 1 and 3 is 2. So we can expect when we do this, plug it in, -4 over 2 times -1. And we notice the answer is 2. Yeah, the middle of the graph. So the middle of the roots is the same as your axis of symmetry. So as far as our vertex goes, right now we know it's 2 comma something. That's how much we think. We found the x-coordinate. Now we need to know what the y is. All right. How do you find the y? Go back to your directions. You find f of, or whatever your x is. So our x came out to 2. So we have to find x. We have to plug in 2 here. F of 2 is -2 squared plus 4 times 2 minus 3. Be very careful on this. Note that this right here, -x squared, means -1 times x squared. Which means we have to square the number, then multiply by -1. Order of operations. Exponents, then multiply. It might be very tempting to say, oh, it's negative 2 squared is positive 4. That would be incorrect. This really means negative 1 times 2 squared. Negative 1 times 2 squared. So we really get negative 4 plus 8 and minus 3, which equals 1. Our vertex is at 2, 1. 2 is 1. That's where that 1 came from. How do I get that 2 to begin with? I plug it into this equation. That's how I got 2. First, you get the x from the formula, negative b over 2a. That's the first part. Take that answer, plug it in here, original function, and that's how we get the y part. So we know, and now, 2, 1. 2, 1. That's right there. Part C, find the y-intercept. Okay, y-intercept equals what? Equals C, which is negative 3. Negative 3. I know this from the equation. How do I get that? Negative 3. I'm just getting that from right here. Whatever that number is on the end, that's the y. So, negative 3. There we go. Negative 3, right there. Now we also can use this symmetry. You notice how this y-intercept is 4 from the middle? So we also get a bonus point for 3. We know that there's another point 4 to the other side. So since it's symmetric, we can come up with this extra point right there. You know that if there's a point, like our answers, if there's a root 2 to the left, there's got to be a root 2 to the right. So right here, down the middle, if there's a point 4 to the left, there's got to be another point 4 to the right, because it's symmetric. And when you do this, make sure you don't accidentally do a absolute value. It needs to be curved at the top. It's kind of like a ball going up in the air and falling back down. It should not be pointed. It should be kind of like a smooth curve. Right. There's one problem. Almost done though, we're not done yet. We just did part D, we graphed it. That's D. C. E. Is this a max or a min? Yeah, we kind of knew that from the beginning. So E is max, right next to vertex. We already knew that before it even started because A was less than 0. And lastly, F, domain and range. What's the domain?
Real reals.
Yeah, domain is going to be all reals. And use a special R with kind of two lines like that. That's all reals. Range. Look at the graph. Looking at the y values. So it looks like it starts at 1. There it is. Starts at 1, and then it goes down, right? Y equals 1, and then it goes down. So my range is y is less than or equal to 1. The range is y less than or equal to 1. There's something. And that's one problem. We'll do that 5 more times.
7 more times.
7 more times? 7 more times? Okay. Okay. Okay, so this is recorded. So if you get stuck, you can't remember all the order, go back online, watch this again. It'll help a lot.